วัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ Welcome to NBT World's The Fireside. I'm Benjamin Ruchopakan.
And I'm Warisa Nidanat Gomon. Every week we have a fireside chat exploring what's going on in Thailand, diving deep into our latest obsessions.
So for today's episode, it's going to be a little bit different. It's the beginning of a really special series that we're doing that is a tribute to Her Majesty, the late Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, who passed away earlier this year. The whole nation is in mourning. So over the next few episodes, we're going to look at parts of Thailand that we can still feel her influence and her presence, that she really left her mark on. And this includes our arts and crafts, our culture, even our environment, our natural heritage, and the living traditions that she dedicated her whole life to preserving.
And obviously, there's no better place to start than Khon, because as we all know, Khon is one of Thailand's most intricate, majestic, and sacred form of masked dance drama.
Yeah, it's really considered the pinnacle of Thai art because it combines so many different disciplines, and we'll get into what that really means later on. But it's something that requires a great deal of craftsmanship and discipline and art and learning and classical sort of literature. So it's something that in a single Khon production takes a lot of study and effort and mastery.
Right. And it's the art form that almost got away. It almost faded away.
That's
but
right.
Luckily, Her Majesty, the late Queen, she personally brought it back to life. Now, have you personally seen a Khon performance before?
I'm ashamed to say that I haven't, actually. I've only seen it on YouTube, and it's incredible that there are so many hour-long YouTube videos of all these different performances, but that's really the only way I've seen it, and it's such a shame because I can imagine it's so much more beautiful and breathtaking in person. What about you?
Well, actually, I have been a part of Khon performance, but
Really?
only when I was very young, like 8 or 9 years old
Gotcha.
in school. But it's really cool. Now, if you've never seen Khon before, it's not just a regular theater performance. It's more like watching a living mural move. And dancers, they glide, they march, they leap, they battle in a show, kind of like a stylized, kind of a precision kind of movement. And the masks, they wear masks and it glints, it shines under the light. Every gesture is loaded with meaning down to the angle of a wrist. So for example, the movements of Khon, they're very subtle. Most
Right.
of the body would be still, but let's say there's a flick of the wrist, and that's the only thing that you're seeing.
That's really interesting. So they create a contrast where everything is still so that the one thing that moves draws the attention, draws the eye. So they create a real stillness, and it's kind of interesting, it's like a painting come to life, right? So UNESCO has described Khon as a performing art that combines musical, vocal, literary, dance, ritual, and handicraft elements. So it unites all of the Thai traditional classical performing arts and craftsmanship arts. So in 2018, Khon was added to the representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity, which is a recognition of just how rare and complete the art form is, right? How comprehensive it is.
And Khon actually tells the story of Ramakien, which is Thailand's version of the Indian Ramayana. And it's an epic about heroes, demons, gods, and the triumph of virtue over chaos. Now, performers fall into 4 main character types. There's the Pra, which is the lords. Those are typically played by men. Nang, or the ladies. There's Yak, which are ogres, and the Ling, or monkeys. And as I was telling you earlier, when I played in Ramakien or Khon when I was younger, I was always casted as the Ling. And I was always so sad because I wanted to be the Nang or the ladies very, very
Right.
much. Yeah.
I understand that, but when I'm looking at these costumes, and I gotta say that I think that the Ling mask looks really good though. I think it's such a good looking outfit, and also the characters are super different. The Ling character is meant to be very mischievous. And so I think I can imagine that it's a lot of fun to play.
It's a lot of movement for sure, yeah.
Right? So in early Khon, actually, everyone wore masks. It wasn't just the yak and the ling. It was also the nang and the pra. Like everyone had it, but also, you know, for lords and ladies, if they're meant to represent people, then you can just use your face, right?
Yeah.
So now the lords and ladies wear very stylized makeup based on the classical mural paintings that you can see in temples today.
Right. And by the way, the masks in the past or even the present, they're considered as sacred objects. So you wouldn't really put them on the floor or on a random table. You would always sit them on altars, right? And they're blessed as well. And a dancer also has to them before putting them on. And some masters even say that when a dancer performs with a mask, it somehow transforms, or the spirit enters, that kind of embodies the spirit. They feel trance. They carry the presence of the character as well.
I can see how that would be very transformative. You know, every now and then we'll hear interviews of actors and actresses where they get an elaborate outfit, or they get, you know, an elaborate costume. Maybe it's in the future, or maybe it's in the past, or a historical set piece. And they talk about how transporting it is, you know? So I think I can really see that carry over into Khon. You know, it must be very transforming to don all of the garb of a ogre, of a yak, you know, and to embody the yak, you know, and also because you get to cover your face, so you can really inhabit the character. And this is sort of goes back to other things in other like traditions in Thailand, where the head is the most sacred part of the body. And so things that go on the head, you know, are considered sacred, like I believe in Muay Thai, there's the Mongkon as well, right? So there's an element of ritual and respect that goes into a lot of these art forms, whether they're martial arts or performing arts, right? So the costumes themselves, when we talk about, you know, just the sheer detail, they're elaborate brocades, which is a kind of raised textile. And there's metallic threads of gold and silver that help them shimmer. And there's a lot of jewelry embroidered into the clothes. So this is the kind of workmanship that you might not really notice from like the mezzanine or from far away, but once you get up close and to the outfits themselves, you can see just how intricate and just how much craftsmanship goes into these outfits. Now, each piece is handmade by artisans from different disciplines, right? We talked about metalworking, we talked about textiles and weaving. These artisans are trained in embroidery, metalwork, tailoring, fitting, and this can take like months per outfit, really.
Yeah. And it's not just the costumes that are very complex. The moves of each character are also kind of complex. So for example, the yak, they have to move with very heavy strength. The nangs are a little bit more fluid, delicate, because they're the females. Monkeys, like I said, are energetic acrobats, so they do a lot of stunts in these kind of performances. And a well-versed audience can actually read Khon the way you would read a poem, and you can tell a lot of what's happening even without narration. So for example, a yak, for example, when it turns its head violently or it suddenly moves its head, they all have different meanings. So somebody who watches Khon religiously or really knows the story can really follow along, even though they don't know the dialogue.
I think that's true of many different art forms. Like, I think everyone can appreciate Swan Lake if they go to see a ballet, and everyone can appreciate sort of the grace, and superficially they can appreciate the music and everything. It's a great spectacle, right? But also, if you understand the vocabulary of movement in ballet, if you understand the vocabulary of classical pieces, I think you can also really dissect the deeper meaning behind each choice that each artist makes and how difficult those choices are to execute. Right? So there's also, of course, stage fighting. I love a little stage fighting. Our version of it in Khon is a stylized form of krabi, krabong, which is literally sword staff, right? Krabi, krabong. And this is the traditional Thai martial art for weapons. So these combat scenes, they're super stylized. Like if even just the regular marching and movement and dialogue is stylized, the fights are really stylized. So they're climbing on each other, they're flipping off of each other, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Muay Thai, actually, yes. Muay Thai performances, right? So these are things that they take years to learn to execute safely and consistently. And I really appreciate that kind of athleticism when, in Khon. So it really marries so many different disciplines.
Yeah, like you said, Khon actually is a complete world of art. It combines dance, music, painting, sculpture, textile arts, poetry, ritual, and spirituality all woven together in one. So, to be able to perform in one or direct one, you have to be very well versed in everything in all of these arenas.
Absolutely. And this isn't something that kind of came up overnight. Like, each one of these disciplines took centuries to develop into what they are today. Khon dates all the way back to the Ayutthaya era. Now, it was a royal art back then. It kind of makes sense that it was a royal art because of all the investment of time and craftsmanship that goes into it. So it was performed in the palace, it was performed at rare ceremonies, and even during royal cremations as well.
Right. And the monarchy has always been tied to the Ramakien. Now, for Thai people, Rama or Praram for Thai people is the main protagonist in Ramakien. And he's understood as the avatar of Vishnu. And Thai kings traditionally adopted Rama as a regal name.
After the Ayutthaya kingdom fell in 1767, a lot of this literature of the Ramakien was lost during the sacking of the city. So King Rama I compiled or recompiled the epic and commissioned famous Ramakien murals at the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, which is also known as Wat Phra in Thai. And you can go see those murals today. So those murals is what became the foundation for how Khon characters look today. So they draw a lot of paintings inspire living paintings, so it feels very one-to-one.
I feel a lot of people actually take a lot of inspiration, specifically from the yak character. Yeah. You can see a lot of, paraphernalia or just references to the yak more often than other characters. I'm not sure why. Maybe he's a strong, figure. He also has a beautiful mask and all that. Anyhow.
It was also like there's the yak at Suvarnabhumi, right?
Yes,
there's
correct.
like giant these statues, so you can see that right when you enter the country. And there was a while when people were a little bit precious about it. They were precious about the character and not wanting to offend or corrupt the original tradition or the original art. But now I think people are a lot more free to interpret it and to reinterpret it. And that's really how you keep art alive.
Yeah. Now, since then, Khon has evolved into different formats over the century. There's Khon Luang, which is performed inside the palace.
That's the OG one?
Yeah, that is the OG one. And then there's the Khon Klang Plang, which is performed outdoors. There's the Khon Na Jaw, which is performed in front of a screen. There's the Khon Chak, which is performed with elaborate stage sets. And the last one is probably one of my favorites, which is Khon Sot. And it is a informal community performances where actors actually lift their masks off to speak improvised lines.
As long as we allow ourselves to interact and be in dialogue with the art, then that's how it stays relevant, right? But after World War II, Khon began to vanish. Western entertainment like movies, radio, new theater captured a lot of the public attention. And, there was definitely a time in Thailand where everyone was modernization equaled westernization, So fewer people were training in the art. The costumes were crazy expensive, which makes sense. Ritual masters were aging, so we were losing some of the practices, that were really a result of an oral tradition, passed down from generation to generation. The tradition of Khon itself was on the brink of disappearing.
Yeah, but that's the turning point, though, because luckily we have Her Majesty the late Queen Sirikit herself, who reinitiated Khon back. And how she did it was that she has this famous saying in Thai that says, "Taไม่มีใครดูแม่จะดูเอง," which translates into English as, "If no one will watch Khon, then I will watch it myself." Now that sentence alone became the spark that reignited an entire national tradition.
I think that's really cool because, like, I mean, it's not just that I will watch it myself. She says, "Meh, to do ing," as in like mom.
Yes, the
as
mother.
in the mother, and it really like reinforces her role as the mother to the nation.
Yes,
you know, and how she viewed her responsibility to the Thai people. You know. So, according to archival accounts and royal household historians, the Queen Mother learned from Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Sirinthorn that Khon performances were in decline, there was low attendance, there were fewer trained performers, and traditions fading. All the sort of things that we were alluding to earlier.
Right. So she did make a decision and saying that if the public wasn't engaging with Khon anymore, she would, and that she would make the country pay attention again, which, again, similar to what you said, I love that she knew that she had a platform she could speak to and speak to the people of the country and make them interested and, you know, be a role model for the younger generations as well.
I think so, too. And she started by commissioning stage performances for the various provincial residences, the provincial palaces, and these were signals to the people. When the Queen Mother attends a performance, the country pays attention.
That is correct. And there were 3 palaces in total. So there was New Pet at Phupan Palace in Sakon Nakhon. There was Samnak Kha Hung at Phuping Palace in Chiang Mai. And lastly, Yak Rop at Klai Kangwon Palace in Hua Hin.
Yes, that's right. And so the crowd started showing up, the newspapers were starting to cover it, and that really revitalized Khon, you know. It wasn't just something that's behind museum glass. It's something that, you know, the monarchy wanted to preserve and to keep people engaged with, you know. And so we can really see that, you know, the royal household becomes a steward of traditional Thai arts as well.
But the Queen Mother didn't stop at just staging, obviously. She went deep into the heart of Khon, the craftsmanship.
That's right. She funded research to recreate the authentic court-style Khon costumes. It's the kind of stuff that almost disappeared, right? She had donated to the Fine Arts Department specifically for costume restoration. And she also supported training in making the masks that we all know and love, the gold and silver filigree, which is a kind of delicate metalwork. I didn't know that off the top of my head. There was embroidery, silk weaving, and then all of the traditional makeup that they wear based on the mural that you see in Wat Phra Kaew. And so many of these crafts were actually on the verge of being lost themselves because of the decline of Khon and the general sort of westernization of the country. So under her direction, the Support Foundation became an engine of this revival, the revival of not just Khon, but of craftsmanship itself, of Thai craftspeople from different rural communities. This includes embroiderers, weavers, metalworkers that were trained to produce world-class Khon costumes.
And she even requested that silk textiles from support craft centers be integrated into the costumes. Now, that's why modern Khon outfits shimmer the way they do. They are literally woven from the country's most skilled hands.
You know, it's a real shame when someone who dedicates their life to an art form, you know, finds themselves, I don't want to use the word obsolete, but just falling out of favor with what's in trend, you know, because we never know when that art form will be back in style, will be back in demand. And it's a shame to lose something that, you know, can only really be taught master to novice or apprentice. That's something that you have to have like hands-on experience with. And I can understand now why there are national artists, there are national artisans, you know, and we're going to talk a lot about what that is in an upcoming episode. But for now, it's really important that, you know, these kinds of people and these kinds of crafts that are preserved for the future.
So now we're going to go back into 2007. The Support Foundation staged its first formal Khon performance called the Promad at the Thailand Cultural Center.
Yeah, that's right. And this was the beginning of what many people now call Khon Somdet, or the Queen's Khon. And this became an annual tradition. It was something to look forward to every year.
Now, every year brought a new episode of Ramakien. We have the Promad, which is aired on 2007 and then again in 2009. There's the Nang Loi in 2010, the Battle of Mayarab in 2011, and the Jong Tanon in 2012.
Then we have the Battle of Gumpakan, the Mokasak chapter in 2013, the Battle of Intorachit, the Nakabat chapter in 2014, the same battle for the Proma chapter in 2015, and then Pipeg Sawa Mipak in 2018. So each performance got bigger and more grand, and there was better lighting and stronger narration. It got better and better every single year, as the performers got, more and more used to it. And then there was more modern theater techniques incorporated, so some innovation there as well, while still strictly following the classical choreography, right? So this became, this maintained the backbone of ancient tradition, bringing it into the modern era.
And there's something important. These annual performances became training grounds for a new generation. There's young dancers, costume trainees, stage hands, musicians, all were mentored by senior masters and national artists. Now, Support Khon turned into the country's most prestigious classical performance, being selected to dance There Is a Dream for young performers nationwide.
A 9-year-old Natty might have really liked to
I might have
that.
been the best monkey.
So I think it's really interesting that, that she created this momentum around Khon.
Yeah, that is correct. Now, the revival works so well that in 2018, UNESCO inscribed Khon into the Intangible Cultural Heritage List as well. Now, many observers pointed to the Support Foundation's revival efforts and Her Majesty's leadership as decisive factors in the process.
That's right. She really saved this tradition and repositioned it for the world. Now, today, Khon is performed at the Sala Chalerm Krung Royal Theatre for tourists near the Grand Palace. It's also featured in museums and at festivals and cultural programs. So, yeah.
They even have a whole museum at the Queen Sirikit Museum of Textiles, even has a Khon activity room where visitors can learn how costumes are made, why characters wear certain colors, and how makeup is applied correctly. So Khon actually moved from the palace stage to the national stage and then onto the global stage.
I love that. So, I would really love to go. We've mentioned the Queen Sirikit Museum of Textiles a couple times now, and I feel like I have to go.
You must go now. Now, from November to December of this year, 2025, just weeks after her passing, the Support Foundation has opened the Satya Pali, which is the annual Khon performance dedicated entirely to the Queen Mother's legacy as well.
That's right. They had an unprecedented response. Over 80% of tickets sold before the opening. Designers researched the production for months. Performers dedicated the season to her memory, which is really beautiful.
Right. And national artists led the staging. Every gesture, every mask, every costume was executed strictly according to authentic Khon tradition as a tribute to her vision. So no improvised mask lifted there.
Right, that's right. Strictly sort of a Khon Somdet.
Yes.
Right? Satya Pali tells the story about loyalty, truth, and righteousness, themes that resonate deeply this year. It was both a performance and a farewell, you could say. It really felt like a full circle moment because the Queen Mother had revived Khon in her youth, and in her passing, Khon has found a way to honor her back. So why does Khon matter today? Why does this revival mean so much?
Because Khon is like a mirror, right? It reflects Thai history, spirituality, aesthetics, and identity. It shows us what beauty looks like when hundreds of people, dancers, musicians, costume artists, mask maker, work as one team.
It also shows that how, one person can change, the fate of culture, The culture survives when someone cares enough to protect it. And if the Queen Mother hadn't stepped in, then Khon could have disappeared. I know it's a very singular individual, but still it's kind of inspiring for the rest of us.
And now we turn it over to you. Have you ever seen a Khon performance before? And if you have, which part of Ramakien do you like the most?
Let us know in the comment section of NBT World's online channels. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify.
And like we said before, this episode is the first in our tribute series honoring Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. In the next episodes, we'll continue exploring the cultural and environmental legacies she shaped for Thailand.
Thank you for joining us around the fireside. We'll see you all next time.